Welcome to Metaphysics and the Bible Post Weeks here live at the Energy Lighthouse and on Zoom. Our topic for the day for December 14th is Look Over Here. We'll go over what's happening in the sky, and the question for the day is being right versus being truthful. What's the difference? We even did a little breakout on trying to find out, can we leave a message of what the word truth would look like if we had to leave that in a message form that was universal, that somebody could read 2,000 years from now, no matter what their language was. So that was quite interesting. So we had some beautiful responses. When you think about the word truth, how can you imagine it? Like we said, if you had to do a universal message, how would you do it? And we went over what's in a word, like university. You've heard us say that every letter is a hieroglyph. The truth is we are infinite and we will always leave universal messages. Which one do you think represents the glyph of I? 1, 2, or 3? I'll leave that with you so you can think on it. A hint is look at the water drop, which manifests the karmic waves in the waters. Remember, the I on the alpha beta circle sits on Scorpio with the letter J, which represents the phallus. So which one do you think there is? 2 of these are from academia and 1 was added by us. So you can take a look at that and you can answer that in the comment section. So we did do a little breakout, and we talked about if you had to leave that message, how would you leave that message for truth? Remembering that languages are going to change. And if you're going to talk about something that you can't see, like love or truth, spirit, they're going to take it literal, just like everybody did with the Egyptian walls. So we had 2 breakouts, and in one room it was different than the other. So that would represent like the Egyptians, the Aztecs, the Mayan, the Chinese. Everybody had a different set spun off from the Egyptian walls. So think about that one. What's happening in the sky? Remember that the sun is still transiting Scorpio, the one that Ophiuchus, look at that, Marion, was in today's presentation, right? Remember that Scorpio represents the last temptations of Christ, and the sun is still transiting it. And it's transiting the brightest star, Rasalhaug, in the head of Ophiuchus. And it's pretty interesting that we just had a nice little discussion on whether or not Ophiuchus is the 13th sign within the zodiac. I'll do a separate video on it, but no, Ophiuchus sits on top. It's in Ptolemy's Almagest. If you go look at the stars and you plot them, you'll see that it sits on top and it just steps on. So Rasalhaug represents the shepherd, the head of Ophiuchus. He separates the Ouroboros. In the Bible, you'll see that in Act 28:10, Paul and the viper, if you want to go into look at that. So if you remember, the bright royal star Antares represents the little head, the big head versus the little head. And this rises before the sun during Christmas time. So the sun is still engulfing Antares, and us learning how to use the little head versus the big head. And that's why the Ouroboros. Ophiuchus, there's a star, the brightest one in his head, that's Rasalhaug. Today, the sun transit exactly with Rasalhaug, meaning we're supposed to be thinking about stepping on that scorpion, so we may separate the head from eating its tail. In other words, all that karma, that not good karma that we get from doing things that aren't with love, right? The snake also is represented in the book of Genesis, right? Isis, because when Isis comes back, Madonna, that love that comes back every 558 years of Phoenix rising, we have to think about that again, because we're heading into the Garden of Eden again. That's with our Christ consciousness, our awareness, right? So material temptations, sexuality outside of immaculate conception, those are things that got to come back into our vocabulary because they're real, 100% real. And then I just put that little, you guys remember Snagglepuss? Heavens to Murgatroyd, exit stage left, right? Because the sun's now going to exit Scorpio, moving into Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is the centaur. And the centaur is also the one that holds an arrow towards Scorpio. To kill the Scorpio, because Sagittarius represents spiritual law. So as we're going in the next few days, we're jumping into Sagittarius. It's about spiritual law. And it's the last walk while we go up to the Phoenix Rising in April. So let's look at truth in the Bible. So in the book of Proverbs, those who state the truth speak justly, but a false witness deceives. In other words, if they don't really go look up what the truth is from the core, you're just thinking you're right. Buy truth and don't sell it. Buy wisdom, instruction, and understanding. In other words, invest your time in it. From the book of Psalms, because your faithful love is right in front of me, I walk in your truth. Send your light and truth. Those will guide me. Let them bring me to your holy mountain, your dwelling place. Don't forget, all these are proverbs that they take from glyphs off the Egyptian walls. All right? Some of these I only pick the ones that make sense, because the ones that don't make sense, you can just tell. Truth springs up from the ground. Who said that one? I think that was, we kind of did, you guys said that in the other group. Truth springs up from the ground. Righteousness gazes down from the heaven. Teach me your way, ruling goddess. Remember, I replaced the word Lord with ruling goddess so that I can walk in your truth, right? The love of a mother. Make my heart focused only on honoring your name, Isis, Madonna, Mictacowatl, Freya, Persephone, Albarak, Wan Yin. Those are some of the names of the ruling goddess in different cultures. All your words are true. All your righteous laws are eternal. The ruling goddess is near to all who call on her, to all who call on her in truth. And this one's kind of cool because there's like a question and answer. Eternal One, who is invited to stay in your dwelling? Who is granted passage to your holy mountain? Here is the answer. The one who lives with integrity, does what is right, and speaks honestly with truth from the heart. So kind of a lot of the things we said, right? Some more truth in the Bible. Book of 1 Kings. Then the woman said to Elijah, now I know that you are a man of Osiris. I changed the word God to Osiris because they're synonymous. Okay, because Osiris and Horus, they're the ones that keep reincarnating. Right? Don't forget the mother of God, right? The ruling goddess is the mother of God. Holy Mary, Mother of God, right? Because God is us in manifest. We are gods and goddesses. Now I know that you are a man of Osiris, and that the word of the ruling goddess from your mouth is the truth. So truth versus right. Note that Osiris is God, the material father. Book of Proverbs. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the ruling goddess weighs the heart. Again, truth versus right. And that's the weighing of the heart ceremony. Book of John, chapter 16. I still have many things to say. But when she, the Spirit of truth, comes, she will guide you into all the truth. She will not speak on her own. She will speak only what she hears. And she will tell you what is yet to come. She will speak only what she hears. And she will tell you what is yet to come. That's what's happening now. This is the book of Revelations. And we need to stay in our truth, the loving truth. Okay, ladder of truth. In the book of Genesis, because after Revelation, because she's home, she stays with us for 150 years. We get complete induction of love. So that's why it's called Genesis, generation Isis. Jacob's dream, verse 11. He reached a certain place and spent the night there. When the sun had set, he took one of the stones at that place and put it near his head. Then he lay down there. He dreamed and saw a raised ladder, its foundation on earth and its top touching the sky. Sounds familiar, right? You guys did it in your breakout session. And messengers were ascending and descending on it. Of course, that's us going up in and out, right? Coming into manifest, reincarnating. Suddenly the ruling goddess was standing on it saying, I am the ruling goddess, the mother of your father Abraham, the mother of Isaac. Remember, there's only one way in and out of these waters, that's through the womb of the mother. So when you replace the true etymology of the word Lord with mother, the ruling goddess, it all fits. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you're lying. Your descendants will become like dust of the earth. You will spread out to the west, east, north, and south. Every family on earth will be blessed because of you and your descendants. So if you're full of love, watch how the world changes. That's what we're upon. I am with you now. See, Jen Isis, I am with you now, because she comes back in. That's the phoenix that lives between 500 and 600 years, was actually 100% 558 years to be exact when you look at the stars. I am with you now. I will protect you everywhere you go, because love protects you. It's a protection. And when you're in your loving space, you are Moses, you part your waters. And I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done everything that I have promised you. So love is back, here to stay long enough to induce us to be full of love. And that is the truth. And this is not anyone trying to be right. It's written in the Bible. Misunderstood, just a couple words changed, and it comes out beautifully. This is written on the Egyptian walls, and it's happening in the stars, 100%. Okay, Book of Isaiah, a joyful proclamation. The ruling goddess spirit is upon me because the ruling goddess has anointed me. She has sent me. So every one of you is a chosen one. You got to start thinking that. She has sent me to bring good news to the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted. It sounds like a lot what Reverend David does over there. To proclaim release for captives and liberation for prisoners. That's the, Plato's cave, right? The prisoners. To proclaim the year of the ruling goddess favor and a day of vindication for us as gods. It says it right there, for us as gods. It says it in the book of Isaiah. So sometimes you don't have to change anything. It's still there. To comfort all who mourn, to provide for Zion's mourners. So that's us, guys, to comfort all who mourn. When people pass, they get sad. It's supposed to be a celebration. They'll be back. They will be back, 100%. To give them a crown in place of ashes. Oil of joy in place of mourning. A mantle of praise in place of discouragement. So I put down calling all healers. It's time. It's time to show your love. Spread it. Because people out there are they're not there yet. So they're taking this mystery and all the disinformation, all the people out there who think they're right, misleading people, they will come to know. They will come to truth. It happens. It's just not their time yet in their charts. I can see who comes to get their chart done. Their charts are lit up like crazy. The image that I had, I found it without the text on it. Luann sent. So if you can say another little intention with that white light around your arm, because she's going in to get the bobo on her arm fixed tomorrow. So if you can think about that white light around your arm for healing, you know more than you think. But it is your thinking that prevents you from knowing what you know. Because it's deep inside, right? It's in your core. A short story about someone I met who's an active member with the Freemasons. If you see the words here, Christma is Christ and Ma. It's the mother and the son. It's Isis and Horus. It's Madonna and Jesus, or the Christ. And look at Mason. It's Ma and son. So the Masons were truthers. They knew the truth. They understood love. But in time, the Illuminati, all these people, disinformation, and they're running the world. No, they're not. So it's interesting that my meter went. It was kicking in and out. The sky had turned really weird when a friend of mine came to say, hey, we got to come and change your meter. So come on. He said, no, I got to send somebody else. So this brother comes, man, he's like, felt like he was like 10 feet tall, but Gentle, gentle soul. He started talking, and he teaches and plumbing, and he said he's really happy because his wife got a job at the university and he can get all his education for free now. And he wants to go into philosophy. Like, philosophy? Are you sure you want to go into that? I said. He said, do you understand what the root word philosophy means? That's philosophia, right? The word phi is in there twice because you got to understand the golden ratio, 1 to phi, to understand philosophy. So you can understand physics and metaphysics. So you can really understand philosophy. So he was very intrigued because we started talking. He is a member of the Masons here in Windsor. So I asked him, you guys deal with a lot of money, don't you? It's all like a money networking thing. No, not at all. So he gained a lot from being a Mason there. He was understanding a lot of the things. So I asked him, I said, what are your rituals? So he started talking about some of the rituals they do. They go in the dark, and he said the one guy there, he's so smart, and he just gets them all to think while they're in the dark, and they go up to an altar and they do these. I didn't really remember much of the details because it just didn't vibrate with me. So then I asked him what the word Mason stands for, and he says, well, there were builders of temples. There you go, right? A literal temple. I says, well, to me, the original Masons were the builder of this temple, not the literal one. So we got to more discussions. And then I got into, well, what does Mason mean? Look at the word Christ and Ma and son. And then I asked him, I said, do you guys talk about the divine feminine at all? He says, no. I says, okay. I says, well, Isis and Horus. So I got into a lot more detail, which I won't get into now because it'd be redundant with the things I've talked about. But I left them with something to think on. I'm not sure if I said it like this, but I'm sure I would have done it in a roundabout way. And everything was gentle because we had a nice long discussion. You can't pass level 1 of Freemasonry if you deny the mother, if you deny the divine feminine, if you deny the firmament, the womb. Because I explained to them, why do the Egyptians on the Egyptian walls wear a womb on their head? That's not Upper and Lower Egypt. That's symbolic of them wearing the womb on their head, because the respect has got to be for the mother first and foremost, because that's the way in and out of here. So all the iconography that they use, they don't even know what it means. Why don't they know what it means? Because they're not using their heart. If you don't use your heart, you can't see. This will never light up. The first eye, as Tammy Malash says, not the third eye. It's got to be the first one. These are 2 and 3. So it was a great conversation. It is very enlightening. You got to love all those people that are standing in what they think is right without knowing the truth. The Egyptians shared the truth. And remember, Egypt means foremothers and forefathers. They left that truth for us. So with all the sleight of hand distractions left by us, right, the last 2,000 years, we slowly tried to achieve Christ consciousness. Brahman, Buddha, Arahant, whatever you want to call it, it's a state of mind. What is the state of mind? What is that state? What does that mean, that state of mind? It means love. Love. So we've been slowly climbing up the ladder this way, up, right? Slowly climbing up this way for the last 2,000 years, trying to find the truth. Well, guess what? Every 558 years, she comes down the chimney from Pisces into Aries, and we're getting lit up with love. And it's not a being, it's you. It's your own vibration coming down to you that comes back. Your own Christ consciousness gets slammed down your throat, so to speak, which is beautiful. That's why it's happening. It's happening in the sky, and we showed that. So this is what's talking about Jacob's ladder. This is what they're talking about Freemasons trying to make it to the 33rd degree. You can't make it. You can't get there without love. Because yes, you can do it without astrology. You can have that knowing on your own. You don't need astrology. I just like to prove it to myself because I want to know that truth. I don't want to just feel it because I want to share the truth. We want to share that truth. It's our truth. It's bits and pieces that we've accumulated from other great people to pull us all together in this divine timing. All right. Truth. You are infinite, no joke. So I want to thank Anna Mae from Thoughts on Aging. She sent an email out. All right. You see this one? Yeah. So I selected a few of those. So we're going to end with, inside every older person is a younger person wondering what happened. Old age is like a plane flying through the storm. Once you're aboard, there's nothing you can do about it. The older I get, the more clearly I remember things that never happened. I'm at the age where my back goes out more than I do. Phyllis Diller. Nice to be here. At my age, it's nice to be anywhere. George Burns. Don't let aging get you down. It's too hard to get back up. It's paradoxical that the idea of living a long life appeals to everyone, but the idea of getting old doesn't appeal to anyone. Birthdays are good for you. Statistics show that people who have the most live the longest. The older I get, the better I used to be. I'm 59 and people call me middle-aged. How many 118-year-old men do you know? When your friends begin to flatter you on how young you look, it's a sure sign you're getting old. Man, you look young. There's one advantage to be 102. There's no peer pressure. The idea is to die young as late as possible. You know you're getting old when you stoop to tie your shoelaces and wonder what else you could do while you're down there. I was thinking about how people seem to read the Bible a lot more as they get older, and then it dawned on me. They're cramming for the final exam. University, George Carlin. Of course, I saved the best for last. So, but all these jokes are great, but guess what? The jokes are going to change because when you know you're infinite, these jokes are going to change. So start writing them. And that's all I have for today.